Good news! Prune last changes. Alright, this is it, the final version of all character kit changes in the 6.6 beta of Genshin Impact. With V5 now confirmed as the last stage before release, every character has essentially reached their final form, and this time we're going to focus on Prune, a 4-star character who, honestly, is starting to look like she belongs in the 5-star category just based on how overloaded her kit feels. From the beginning, Prune didn't look that impressive if you only glanced at her surface level kit. But after multiple rounds of buffs and adjustments throughout the beta, she has evolved into something much more dangerous. A support unit that not only buffs your team heavily, but also scales in a way that rewards proper stat investment and reaction management. In my opinion, this is one of those characters people might underestimate at first, then suddenly realize she's completely broken once optimized. Let's start with the basics, her normal attack. Like most support characters, this is not where her value lies. By the way, if you are playing popular gacha or anime-style games, EnjoyGM just dropped 8 to 20% top-up coupon for new user. You must use that coupon first to unlock exclusive member pricing for popular games. All you need is UID and server. EnjoyGM top-up is super fast and safe with 24/7 human support. Register from link below to get another 8% site-wide coupon for your next top-up. You still keep all in-game perks like first top-up bonus. No risks, but more rewards. She has a standard 3-hit normal attack sequence, along with charged and plunging attacks that have relatively low multipliers. There's really no reason to focus on this part of her kit. You're not building Prune to deal damage through normal attacks, and you won't be keeping her on field long enough for it to matter. This is very typical support design, and honestly, exactly what we expect. Now, moving into her elemental skill, this is where everything begins. Her skill is essentially the core trigger for all of her buffs, but it's not a simple press and buff type of ability. Instead, it revolves around swirl reactions, which already makes her feel somewhat similar to Anemo supports like 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀, but with a twist. When Prune triggers a swirl reaction, her skill passive becomes enhanced for 6 seconds. If you trigger the same swirl reaction again during that window, it causes an elemental conversion and activates something called 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀𝗀𝗃, which is what actually enables her buffing capabilities. This layered requirement might sound complicated at first, but in practice, it just means you need consistent elemental application to maintain her buffs. An important detail here is that her buff scaling is based on total stats rather than talent level, meaning you don't need to heavily invest in leveling her elemental skill talent. This is a huge advantage because it reduces resource investment while still allowing her to perform at a high level. It also means that her build path becomes much more straightforward, focus on stats rather than talent scaling. Now let's talk about her elemental burst. When activated, Prune casts 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝘀𝗀𝗃, dealing area damage and then continuing to deal coordinated attacks alongside your active character for 12 seconds. The cooldown is 18 seconds, and the energy cost is 70, which is relatively high for a support. Because of this, energy recharge becomes a very important stat for her. Without sufficient energy recharge, you won't be able to maintain consistent uptime on her burst, and that would significantly reduce her overall value. The burst itself is already decent, but its real power comes from how it interacts with her passive talents. So let's move into those, because this is where Prune truly shines. Her first ascension passive, A1, adds an additional layer to her burst. When 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝘀𝗀𝗃 enters its Hunter-Seeker mode, it deals area damage based on the element that was previously converted through swirl. This means her damage adapts depending on your team's elemental setup, making her surprisingly flexible. She's not locked into one specific element, which is always a big plus for team building. Her second ascension passive, A2, is the main source of her buff, and honestly, this is where things start to look a bit crazy. After hitting an opponent with 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝘀𝗀𝗃 following elemental conversion, nearby party members gain an effect called Tolling Rally for 5 seconds. This effect increases the damage of all types of attacks, normal, charged, plunging, elemental skill, and burst, based on how much Prune's attack exceeds 2,000. Each point of attack above 2,000 increases damage by 0.025%, up to a maximum of 50%. That means to fully maximize this buff, you're looking at around 4,000 total attack on Prune. That sounds like a lot, but here's where her kit becomes very clever. She actually has built-in ways to help reach that requirement. Her base passive is simple and not particularly impactful in combat. It gives a 10% chance to refund a regional talent material when crafting. Nice quality of life feature, but not something you build around. Now let's talk about her Hexerite passive, because this is what ties everything together. When a Hexerite character in your team triggers an elemental reaction while affected by Tolling Rally, Prune gains a 60% attack increase for 5 seconds. And if the reaction is a swirl, the triggering character also gains an additional 30% attack boost. This self-buff is extremely important because it helps Prune reach that 4,000 attack threshold much more easily. In fact, this is the part that makes her scaling feel really smart, because instead of forcing you to grind insane stats, her kit helps you reach the requirement naturally. Realistically, you only need around 2,400 base attack before buffs, and the rest can be covered by her own mechanics. After that, you can focus on stacking energy recharge to maintain her burst up time. Now moving on to her constellations, starting with Constellation 1. This gives her energy regeneration by granting 2 energy every time 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗃𝗃 hits an opponent, with a cooldown of 1.8 seconds. This is a very useful upgrade because it directly helps with her energy issues, making her much more consistent. Her Constellation 2 is another major power spike. After using her burst and entering Witchler Bell mode, she gains a stacking attack buff. It starts at 10% and increases by 5% every time 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗃𝗃 hits an enemy, up to a maximum of 40%. This makes it significantly easier to reach her attack requirement, further reinforcing her scaling loop. Constellations 3 and 5 are standard, increasing the levels of her skill and burst. Constellation 4 adds a unique mechanic where attacks from 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗃𝗃 can reflect to nearby enemies. This improves her area of effect capability and makes her more effective in multi-target scenarios. Finally, her Constellation 6 extends the duration of her elemental burst by 4 seconds and grants an additional 350 attack to any character affected by Tolling Rally. This is a massive boost, both in terms of uptime and raw stats, and it pushes her support capabilities even further. Looking at her entire kit, Prune feels like a hybrid between a reaction-based support and a stat-scaling buffer. She has similarities to 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗃 in terms of enabling reactions and boosting team damage, but her scaling method is completely different. Instead of focusing on elemental damge bonus, she directly amplifies damage based on her own attack, which creates a very different playstyle. Personally, I think for teams that can utilize 2 Hexerite characters, Prune might actually outperform 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗃 despite being a 4-star, which is kind of insane when you think about it. So now the real question, are you going to invest in Prune and her constellations? Because based on what we're seeing here, she has all the potential to become one of the most valuable support units in the game, especially for players who enjoy building around reactions and maximizing team synergy. By the way, if we can hit 3,000 subscribers, enjoy GM will give away 5 welcome tests to you guys. Comment and subscribe to participate.